Hey everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and I am back with my weekly comic book reviews. If you've been watching my recent videos, you know that I had to take my computer in to get repaired, and after that, though, I've pretty much been making videos on my iPad. Couldn't really do anything long term or edit anything, so most of it was trying to do everything in one take. And also, right after I got my computer fixed, I was under the weather for a few days, so that also delayed my procedure. And also, tomorrow I'm going on vacation, so yeah. But I will have but since I've been missing a lot of stuff, I've decided to catch up a bit. Right now the video you're watching is going to be talking about comics from last week, July 23rd, but it's going to be more of a best of, just the best comics that I enjoyed the most. And also, I will have a comic book. I will probably find some time on my vacation to film a comic book review for the comics that come out this Wednesday, July 30th. That should be up on Thursday. So, without further ado, let's get started on my comic reviews this week, starting with, from Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man #4, an Original Sin tie-in. Okay, of course, just letting everyone know that all the Original Sin tie-ins are coming out of the issue of Original Sin where the orb basically set off the Watcher's eye as a bomb, and everyone was bombarded with memories that made them realize a bunch of horrible stuff in the past. And in this case, when the Watcher's eye exploded, Spider-Man sees the day that he got bit by the radioactive spider, and he discovers that there was another spider that got caught in the radiation, became radioactive, and bit someone else, a girl named Cindy Moon. And eventually she developed powers, but she actually developed organic webbing, and she was found by Ezekiel, who you may remember from J. Michael Straczynski's run on Amazing Spider-Man, and also Spider-Man the Other story arc. And so basically Ezekiel kind of took Cindy under his wing and started to train her, but then he eventually locked her up in some underground bunker so that she'd be safe. And of course, Spider-Man realizes this, and he goes and seeks the girl out. He arrives at Ezekiel's old building. He finds the bunker. A message from Ezekiel shows up trying to talk to Peter, saying, "If you're watching this, I'm dead. You should probably listen to why I kept her locked up." But Peter just smashes the screen, says, "I don't want to hear it." Breaks the girl out, and she freaks out because she's worried that Moreland's going to show up. But Spider-Man's like, "Moreland's dead. I fought him. He's gone." And so then she's very happy. And then she decides to go explore New York City, and Peter tells her that she basically needs to wear a costume if she's going to be out using her power. So she's able to make a costume out of webbing, and she decides to use the alias Silk. So after Silk gets her new costume ready, they head off, and Silk goes to the old apartment where her family used to live, but discovers that there's a different family there, so now she's feeling very sad about that. And also, Spider-Man explains to her and she asks how long since Moreland was dead, and so Spider-Man says, well, it's a little difficult because he died twice. And of course, at that point she's furious at him because obviously she knows Moreland can come back. And they start fighting, and of course Cindy starts lashing out and fighting Spider-Man. Then suddenly something happens where basically I think it's described as their spider senses are in sync, and Sydney and basically they start making out at the end of the issue, which is really weird. Also, we get a scene in this issue that shows a figure whose face is obscured by the shadows, but to those of you who've read the previous stories, you should know that obviously I know it's Moreland, and this is all going to lead into Spider-Verse, which is going to be happening in a couple of issues. Okay, I really do like how Dan Slott, the writer, is able to use Original Sin to kind of help his own work, help what he's doing with on Spider-Man. It's kind of similar to what James Robinson did on Fantastic Four by using the Thing's memories to kind of help his story arc. So I think it's good to see that all the books that are affected by Original Sin, there are some long-term long-term actions as a result of the main big event, in this case being Original Sin. So yeah, that's really great. This is kind of I would say, if you haven't been reading Spider-Man, if you are going to get Spider-Verse, you should probably start with this issue, because this feels like this is definitely going to be a prequel to whatever's going to happen in Spider-Verse, because right now the web is starting to be set up right now. Okay, next up, from Marvel, last comic from Marvel is Daredevil #6. Again, another Original Sin tie-in. When Daredevil's back in New York City, only because of the whole big crisis going on, and when he gets bombarded with memories, Matt Murdock actually sees his father looking very angry, holding baby Matt, and there's in their old apartment, and there's food everywhere, and we see Matt's mom sort of cowering with like a fat lip, like she just got hit and stuff, and we see a furious Jack Murdock, and it just basically, and let's face it, if Matt, seeing that, obviously since Matt's blind, and that memory has obviously affected Matt a lot, so I'm guessing Matt is not going to, Matt is not in a good place. He basically visits his father's grave and pretty much grabs some mud and wipes out a good man on Jack Murdock's tombstone, then heads to the church to where his mother, he knows, is a nun, to figure out some insights to what this memory means. And when he gets there, though, he discovers that his mom and a couple of other nuns were arrested for vandalizing an old Wakandan military base on U.S. soil. And when they go, and Matt tries to, first Matt speaks with her during the visiting hours, then eventually he tries to do something with them, but there's like all this red legal tape. So as Daredevil, Matt breaks into the Wakandan embassy for answers, where he discovers a sort of a conspiracy with where we have some Wakandan officials meeting with a representative of the U.S. military for some secrets in exchange for keeping the woman occupied. So at that point, Matt breaks in, but eventually he gets outgunned and he's thrown out of the building, where they tell him that the plane that took the women has left the U.S. hours ago. So yeah, Daredevil in this issue, it really felt like, the book, we really couldn't get in a focus. It felt like the plot just kept moving too fast. Like 1 minute, like last issue, we were in San Francisco. Now we're back in New York at the start of this, obviously with the Original Sin, but then we immediately skip over that as Matt needs to go save his mom from the whole Wakandan embassy from Wakanda thing. And what does this memory mean? Could Jack Murdock really be a wife beater? I do not know. I think that basically it's just Flash, and that's all the heroes are really getting, is just Flash. They have to interpret them. They have to figure it out. So it's not just like they get the memory, everything's gonna be clear. It's basically they kind of have to figure it out. So I think maybe there could be another explanation. Although honestly, in this case for Matt Murdock, I don't think what he finds out is gonna make him happy. And also, and if it is true, if what everyone thinks about Jack Murdock of this memory is true, that he really is a wife beater, and this is what causes Matt's mom to leave him, that this could probably be another reason why Jack never really encouraged Matt to go into fighting and instead focus on studying. So yeah, Daredevil #6. It's still great. I will say Mark Waid does a good job writing this title, but the plot is a little fast-paced. So if you don't mind that, I'd say check it out. If not, you can just pass it. All right, next up from DC Comics. The thing's really low, that's why I'm reaching that far. Starting with DC Comics, we have Batman #33. This is the conclusion to Zero Year. Batman is able to get past Riddler's series of where we last left Batman at the end of 32. Batman was just getting trapped by the Riddler. Riddler is now making him solve a series of riddles to get closer to him. Eventually, though, Lucius Fox found another signal jammer, so right when Riddler got to the final riddle, Lucius showed up outside the building, giving Batman enough time to jam Riddler's signal and fight back at Riddler, and to get information about how to restart power in Gotham City. And the way it works is Riddler basically has to take. Riddler designed this sort of electrode that's synced with his heartbeat, and if it's removed, then the system will shut down. But if it's recharged and linked to another heart, then it could basically restore power. But it has to be a very strong jolt, and the person probably couldn't survive it. So Batman takes the electrode, he grabs the defibrillator, shocks himself, and is able to restore power just in time for the military planes to be nearby. And unfortunately, it looks like Batman doesn't survive it. He passes out, but thankfully he's revived by Alfred, who shows up basically out of nowhere to help Bruce. Later, and 1 month later, Bruce Wayne is seen at Wayne Enterprises at a press conference explaining how Gotham has survived 0 year and they're now stronger and stuff. Jim Gordon has now been named the official new police commissioner. And then later, after the conference, Alfred tells Bruce that Julie Madison is here, and Alfred kind of encourages Bruce to go see Julie and kind of restart the relationship. And Bruce says, "I could do that," but he also tells Alfred that he's never going to quit being Batman. He basically, we just get like a good dialogue scene between Alfred and Bruce, where Bruce basically tells Alfred that, I'm never going to stop being Batman. And Alfred says, "Of course, I understand, you're young now," but Bruce says, "No, I'm never going to stop," because Bruce reveals to Alfred that many years ago he hired someone to pose as Alfred and to help him get this electroshock therapy that would sort of help him forget his parents' murder. But at the very last second, Bruce couldn't do it and realized he had to work through the pain. And so working through the pain of his parents' death, then all this training and helping people as Batman, Bruce basically says that's what really makes him happy. And so at that moment, Alfred kind of imagines has this vision where Bruce did go over to Julie, they talk, rekindle the relationship, and eventually Bruce gets married with his own family, but it's all just a dream. And then when Alfred has to go talk to Julie in reality, she asks where Bruce is, and Alfred says, unfortunately, he's committed right now. And Alfred, of course, is referring to how Bruce has sworn his commitment to protect Gotham. And that's basically the end of 0 Year. This was definitely a long story arc. Obviously, and it did take about 12. It did take 12 issues to tell, so it's exactly 1 year long. That obviously took the year part of the title very seriously. I would say that the best option to read 0 Year is probably to get the trade, because 0 Year isn't just one 12-part story. It's actually 12 issues long, but it's like 3 main story arcs put together. You have the Red Hood, the first story arc that involved the Red Hood gang. Then you have the Dark City story arc, which covered the Blackout. Then finally you have this, where basically Riddler took control of a powerless Gotham City, and it's a very good, and it's a long story, but I would say it's very worth it. I think Volume 4 is very close to coming out, if it's not already out. I think it might be out in September or October. It's coming out. The first part is coming out this fall, so if you have the chance, you should definitely check it out, because Batman is one of the best titles since the New 52. I've always kept Batman on my pull list. That not just because he's Batman, but because Scott Snyder does a good job with dialogue, and Greg Capello has been doing an amazing job on artwork, and the two of them put together is basically the reason why this book is number one, is probably one of the best selling titles that DC has to offer right now. So I would say if there's only one DC comic you can get, I would say get Batman. Alright, next up, final comic of the week, Superman number 33. Alright, Clark pretty much investigates the lab where Ulysses was sent from another dimension as a baby. Well, first he investigates by talking to Perry White about the articles that Perry wrote about the research center, about the lab when it was first active, and Perry makes a deal with Clark that he'll help Clark with this story as long as he'll write it for the Daily Planet. And of course Clark agrees to it because as we established in the last issue, Perry White is trying to get Clark Kent back on the Daily Planet. And also and then later Clark goes to investigate the grounds themselves as Superman. Meanwhile, while Clark's digging into Ulysses' past, Ulysses is exploring Metropolis by wearing some of Clark's civilian clothes. Also, he kind of goes by his birth name Neil, and as he's exploring the city, suddenly it's attacked by a bunch of robot toy soldiers. Like, they look a lot like the Green Army Men from Toy Story. Anyways, Ulysses deals with most of the robots. Then Perry White contacts Clark and tells him that, hey, the Superman's friend is fighting a bunch of robots in Metropolis. So Superman shows up. So he changes to Superman, heads over to Metropolis, helps Ulysses defeat all the robots, and Superman notices that the robots are similar to the makeup that to the Titano he fought a few days ago, or rather last issue. After they take care of the robots, Superman then takes Ulysses to the home of Ulysses' parents, who are still alive. And he takes him there, and it's a very touching reunion for Ulysses and his parents, and Clark's really happy for Ulysses, but at the same time he's kind of sad because he's never going to get this feeling because his adoptive parents, the Kents, are gone. And the whole time, though, when Clark takes Ulysses there, he's being observed by this hooded figure that we saw last issue when Ulysses first arrived. And this figure knows that Superman is Clark Kent because he refers to him as Clark. Okay, very touching, really enjoy that final scene because right now the theme that writer Jeff Johns is trying to establish on Superman is that I believe Clark is pretty lonely. I mean, we saw last issue he's trying to, have a meeting with Wonder Woman, his girlfriend, and Batman, who's probably his best friend in the superhero community, and they're both unavailable to see him. And now he basically meets Ulysses, who's very similar to him in a lot of ways. They were both saved by their parents from certain death. But the difference is that Ulysses is from Earth, and Earth is still around. Krypton is destroyed. Clark can never get back. Superman can never get back to it. Ulysses, he still has Earth. Also, Ulysses' parents are alive. Clark, both his parents are dead, both biological and adoptive. So, it's kind of like at the same time he's kind of happy that Ulysses does get this stuff, but you can tell that he's both sad and I think a little jealous because he really would love to have his parents. Because I can bet that Superman really would love to have his parents back. But I think that's really what the whole theme on the title is going to be like right now. It's basically going to be trying to help Superman kind of reestablish relationships with the people around him. And in this case, the Daily Planet, as we see how Perry White even notices that Clark's kind of being alone right now, and he thinks that's not good for Clark. So he's trying to get him back into the Daily Planet to kind of reconnect with the people that were his closest friends, like Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, etc. But yeah, Superman right now very nice. It's a very well done story. There really haven't been a lot of good Superman story arcs since the New 52, but I really I like the first issue that was written by Jeff Johns with artwork by John Romita Jr. I still do like the artwork by John Romita Jr. By the way, I hear some people saying they love it, others say that they hate it, and I'm kind of now I think he's doing a good job on it. I really do. I mean, I have no complaints about it. But yeah, right now the Superman title, very great. Jeff Johns, one of my favorite writers. John Romita Jr. on artwork. It's actually I think I got a good feeling about this story arc. I think it's doing a good job so far. I think if you haven't been reading a lot of Superman since the New 52, you should definitely give this series a try right now. Okay, that is it for me. Thank you again for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thanks for staying subscribed to me for so long, even during the whole broken computer phase. I really appreciate all your views and support. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.